Tonight, a teenager jailed over the Perth school shooting that caused shock right across Western Australia.
Venom pumping through his body, a Perth boy's terrifying snakebite ordeal.
ASIO sparks a nasty witch hunt in Canberra, the unnamed politician and traitor who sold out to foreign spies.
Calling for an extra day off, WA public servants demand a 4-day week.
They're coming down. Dozens of trees fall at Kings Park in the war against a destructive pest.
And from special new beginnings to couples taking the leap, Perth marks February the 29th.
Live from Perth, 7 News with Ardon and Susannah Carr.
Good evening and welcome to 7 News. The teenage gunman who shot up a Two Rocks school in an American-style shooting has been jailed for 3 years.
It's the first time this has ever happened in Australia. The judge described it as a terrifying ordeal that would make anyone in WA's blood run cold.
This teenage shooter went to school to kill. It's something we've never seen before in WA or this country. The 15-year-old former student stormed Atlantis Beach Baptist College last May, armed with 2 hunting rifles that belonged to his father.
Should you be held responsible for allowing your son to access those guns?
The boy opened fire, shooting 3 bullets, 2 hitting a classroom that was being used as a storeroom, 1 narrowly missing a group walking to class. A terrified student dropped to the ground and tried to hide behind his school bag. That's when the shooter abandoned his original plan to kill. After seeing students on the grass and not wanting his siblings to be the sibling of a killer, he then called 000.
Parents send their children to school and expect them to be safe. It's been 9 months since the shooting and the effects are still being felt here. One teacher described never being so scared in her life and will remember that day for a long time.
Some of these kids are really impacted by it, and I just hope there's no copycats.
There's no place for it in Australia.
Justice Hilton Quayle told the court the terrifying incident would have caused the blood of every person in WA to run cold.
It is a shocking thing, and it just heightens, I think, concern around a move towards an American-style gun culture in Australia, and we should do everything we can to avoid and stop that.
The teenager was jailed for 3 years. He'll be eligible for parole after 16 months. Rachel Tassica, 7 News.
A Perth boy has relived the terrifying moment he was bitten by a deadly snake while playing in his front yard. 8-year-old Camden ended up in intensive care after his mother helped save his life. Now they want to warn other families and spoke exclusively to Chantel Toohey.
It's a tiny snake bite that almost took 8-year-old Camden's life.
He was vomiting, he looked terrible, he did not look well at all, and he said, I can't see, and we realised that was him sort of passing out.
Camden was bitten by what's believed to be a dugite. He was just outside the front door of his Hills home. His mother, who is a nurse, saved his life.
He just started screaming and screaming and screaming, and yes, I rushed over to him and there were 2 very clear puncture marks in between his toes, and he just said, I've been bitten by a snake.
Camden has chosen not to show his face, but he wants to tell his story to help others.
Felt like stepping on a twig, but like different.
The snake was hiding in a pipe underneath the path. It popped out and bit him. Camden didn't know that with snake bites you must not move. He ran to his mum. She carried him inside. With snake bites, every second counts, and this was a life or death situation. But there was a problem. Claire couldn't call 000 because they don't have phone reception in their area. For several terrifying minutes, the calls wouldn't connect. Eventually, Claire got through with a Wi-Fi call. Camden was given anti-venom in hospital. They were worried about his blood not clotting. He ended up in intensive care.
The other 2 things it can cause is neurological issues and muscle destruction. So, yeah, we got the anti-venom in time.
The advice for snakebite first aid: call 000, keep the patient still, lie them down, apply a bandage, follow the call taker's advice.
Snake venom works through muscle movement, so the more the patient moves, the more the venom travels, and it's going to travel through the lymphatic system to the heart. Once it gets there, then it's almost impossible to stop.
This is how you slow the venom down.
Any bandage that you've got, to apply just a bit of gentle pressure.
And then a second bandage, preferably a snake bandage. Apply some pressure, but not a tourniquet. It's hoped this brave little boy's story could help save someone's life.
And he's got celebrity status at school.
Chantel Tui, 7 News.
Australia's top spy boss is under intense pressure tonight to name a former politician who he says sold out the country by selling secrets to foreign spies.
Speculation is rife over who it is and why they haven't been charged.
The head of ASIO will be gritting his teeth tonight over this reaction.
Well, it's outrageous. That besmirches everyone that is serving in politics or has served in politics. I mean, it is simply unacceptable.
Leading a chorus of serving and former MPs demanding ASIO boss Mike Burgess name the former politician he's revealed was compromised by foreign agents.
This politician sold out their country, party, former colleagues to advance the interests of a foreign regime.
A traitor in the ranks recruited by a spy network.
We'll call them the A-Team.
Trawling professional networking sites for people with security clearances, contacting them using common names.
Sophie, Amy, Ben and Eric.
Offering rich consultancy fees for secrets. The former politician
even proposed bringing a Prime Minister's family member into the spy's orbit.
Former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull's son Alex revealing Chinese agents tried to bribe him in 2017. He refused and reported them to authorities. But opposition leader Peter Dutton pointing the finger at Labor.
That'd be where I put my money.
The other question being asked inside here tonight, if ASIO knew this former MP was a traitor, why haven't they been charged and thrown into jail?
Why should a politician who's betrayed their country be able to sit fat, dumb and happy in their house enjoying the fruits of their labour?
Well, they won't face any legal consequences, and I think that is a regret.
Won't, he says, because foreign interference laws weren't in place then, and the laws of treason that were weak. And Mike Burgess says the historic matter's now been dealt with and the person no longer a threat. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Thousands of WA public servants could have their working hours slashed if a union campaign is successful. The state's biggest public sector union is seeking a 12% pay rise and more, slashing the working week from 5 days to just 4.
For 76 years, a 5-day working week has been the norm. Now the Community and Public Sector Union wants to knock it down to 4. It seems COVID has changed everything.
Members have made it really clear that they want the future of work to look different.
The union is working on the formula of 100-80-100.
You have 100% of the pay, you have 80% of the hours, but you're delivering 100% of the productivity.
Working from home would still be part of the deal. Whether the extra day off could be taken on a Friday or a Monday to extend the weekend hasn't been decided.
To manage their lives in a way that means that they're physically and mentally healthy and happy, that they're able to connect with friends and family, and that they can live a good life, a better life.
The Public Sector Union's industrial agreement with the government expires in June. The union's hoping to have a trial of the 4-day working week in place by then. Also on the union's wish list, a 12% pay rise over the next 2 years to compensate for several years of having their wage increases capped. The gloves are off after public service bosses were awarded pay rises of up to 9% earlier this month.
It's great that the union is talking about the sort of issues which are of interest and concern to their members.
Treasurer Rita Safiotti, a little more to the point.
We don't want to be in a situation where we blow the budget and then in 3 years' time we don't have enough money to pay public servants and there's job cuts.
This is exactly what happens when you've got a Labor government beholden to the union movement.
Jeff Parry, 7 News.
Householders in Perth's northeast were told to stay inside this morning as dangerous smoke blanketed Bayswater. A fire broke out at this waste facility on Duffy Street early today. It prompted an alert that warned of hazardous material, but the warning was cleared by midday. Crews spent 6 hours getting the blaze under control.
More trees are losing limbs or coming down altogether to stop the spread of a dangerous pest. A specialist arborist began work today to remove 23 Moreton Bay and Port Jackson figs from Mounts Bay Gardens near Kings Park. More than 1.6 million trees have been inspected across Perth at 50,000 properties.
Pauline Hanson was in Perth today, spruiking a new One Nation party member. The media conference, like many of hers in the past, got rocky very quickly.
An embattled politician and a party that didn't ask for a please explain.
Don't make a big deal about it. It's under appeal and that will be dealt with by the court.
Ben Dawkins has been an independent since he was ousted from the Labor Party last year. That's no longer the case.
He's been a lone member in this parliament, as I was in 1996 when I was disendorsed from the Liberal Party. So I've been there. I've worn his shoes. You haven't.
He replaced the retiring Alana McTiernan in the upper house last year, but was expelled when he was fined in court for breaching a family violence restraining order.
And he got a small fine, no conviction recorded whatsoever.
That's false. He was convicted for the 35 charges relating to emails being sent to the victim.
There is an appeal going on, and as you well know, you don't have to do anything violent to have a family restraining order.
What exactly he's appealing is unclear. He pleaded guilty.
There's no point you as non-lawyers saying it can't be done. It can be done, so just relax.
One Nation held 3 upper house seats after the 2017 election, 110,000 West Aussies voting for them. They lost 80% of that in 2021, falling behind the Nationals, legalised cannabis and Australian Christian parties. Senator Hanson hasn't guaranteed Mr Dawkins' top spot on the ticket, but changes to the upper chamber mean parties will secure a seat with every 2.7% of the vote. Lockie Burns, 7 News.
Friends of Jesse Baird have revealed he was having serious drama with someone in his life in the lead up to his murder and claimed there were warning signs. Friends are now determined to honour the former TV reporter and his partner.
Jesse Baird loved Coogee Beach, would have loved this day.
We stood there on the beach and we screamed out his name in his honour because that's who Jesse was. He was bold, he was loud, he was happy, he was fun.
And that heightens the profound sense of loss.
Not a lot in life ever got Jesse down.
But something did in the last few weeks of his vibrant, short life.
He said that there had been something not so pleasant going on in his private life.
Some odd things were happening to Jesse over, the period that him and Beau were involved. They weren't in a relationship together.
Police allege Beau Lamar Condon was infatuated with the Channel 10 reporter. Jesse's car had been vandalised and sabotaged.
Jesse couldn't come to see me because mysteriously water came into his car engine and in his fuel.
When behaviours appear to be escalating, we have physical interactions, harm to property, that those are certainly indicators that things could get more serious.
Investigators believe the accused murderer used bullets stolen from a shooting range to avoid suspicion if some were missing from work. The Qantas float in Saturday night's Mardi Gras parade will bear the name of flight attendant Luke Davies. Other tributes are also expected for Jesse.
This man was full of life. He walked into a room and he would just be smiling.
You simply cannot underestimate how deeply the force has felt this. A senior detective tells us the collective effort to find the bodies is something he has never seen before, and not just for the sake of justice, but to show the world what one of their own allegedly did is not who they are. Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
Australia is sending 6 Defence Force specialists to the Middle East. They're in the region as Houthi rebels target foreign ships in the Red Sea. One vessel hit by a missile is sinking right now.
Listing sinking. The British container ship the Rubima, the most damaging strike yet from Houthi rebels in the Red Sea waterway that handles 12% of the world's trade. This morning, Defence Minister Richard Marles hitting every breakfast TV show to announce Australia was stepping up its contribution.
In breaking news, more Australian troops will be deployed to the Middle East.
Our total offering? 6 more personnel.
A very important contribution that Australia can make.
For others, that was underwhelming.
I think we should have sent a warship, but we didn't.
Australia's contribution remains underweight.
At last count, the US is leading the Red Sea Alliance with 8 warships. India has 7, Italy 3, even Pakistan has 2. Insiders say the reality is we couldn't send one if we wanted to. 8 frigates, but only enough personnel to crew 5 of them. Just last week, the government announced a major overhaul of the Navy's future operations, expanding the surface fleet from 11 to 26 warships, but admitting it would be years before any new vessels were operational.
A larger Navy with more capability, which is good, but it's going to take too long to get there.
As for the Houthis, a possible own goal with a 19-kilometre oil slick and 41,000 tonnes of fertiliser dumped offshore. Chris Reason, 7 News.
The Matildas are on their way to the Paris Olympics after a thumping win in Melbourne. More than 54,000 turned out to see a team that is fast becoming the nation's favourite.
A sea of green and gold as a record crowd celebrated the Matildas' 10-0 win. From the first goal just 34 seconds in...
And it's in the back of the net! It's the perfect start!
All the way until full time, more than 54,000 fans swept up in Matildas mania. With our most iconic female athlete for support, the Matildas will arguably head to Paris as our highest profile, most loved national side.
All the names that are on the field are now household names. Mary Fowler, Mackenzie Arnold, Hayley Razzo, like everyone knows all the stories. And they've done such a good job connecting with the audience.
Hoping to create history at a third straight Olympics.
For most of us, it's probably, could be our last major tournament. So I think, to go out with a bang would be pretty amazing for all of us.
Katrina Gorry's daughter stealing the show post-game.
For me, obviously, going off the field to her is pretty special no matter win, lose or draw.
The Matildas have sold out their last 12 games in Australia. With last night's win, the biggest crowd Melbourne has seen. Just one AFL game has attracted a bigger audience at Marvel Stadium.
The scoring was bigger than some of those AFL games, getting on 10 goals. So, it was an amazing atmosphere.
The Golden Girls attracting a crowd wherever they go, even today outside their team hotel. Kate Massey, 7 News.
Samantha Jolly joins us now with the weather.
And Sam, summer is over.
February 29, Sue, the official end of summer this year because it's a leap year. So we actually got a bonus day and it really was a big summer. We're waiting for official figures, but it is possibly our hottest summer on record. We had more severe heat waves than normal and more 40-degree days than Perth has ever seen in a single month. And today was a great way to farewell the season. Blue skies, slightly hotter than average. We had a top of 33.5 degrees after a cool overnight low of less than 16. We had quite a difference in temperatures across the suburbs today. A very hot end to summer for Bullsbrook and the airport, 37 degrees. The northeast has consistently been our hottest area this summer. Mandurah got to 31, which is average for this time of year, and just 25 on Roto. The start of autumn is set to be hot. That's because we have a deepening trough down the coast and a high in the south, but we could have a wet and stormy long weekend. I'll have the new forecast for the new season right after Sport, Rick and Sue.
Thanks, Sam. A plea from police to stop.
Next, ugly fallout. The mess in Kenwick as a car police tried to stop crashes. The passenger now in hospital.
Also, the shocking number of WA guns already handed over in a buyback scheme.
Court lost. Prince Harry denied what other royals get.
Tributes for actor and comedian Richard Lewis, who's passed away.
And secrets to sleep. The world-first study revealing how to wake up refreshed. A 22-year-old man is in Royal Perth Hospital tonight after he was a passenger in a police escape gone wrong. Officers say a Nissan Pulsar failed to stop it for them in Gosnells just after 9 last night. It was found 20 minutes later crashed into a power pole. The 30-year-old behind the wheel has been charged.
More than 2,200 firearms have been handed over in the first week of the state government's buyback. It includes 40 handguns from one collector in Hillary's.
There is enough money to accommodate as many as 100,000 firearms, but that doesn't mean we're expecting to get that. It's a good sign in 1 week.
New laws that limit recreational shooters to 5 firearms are expected to pass state parliament in coming months.
Prince Harry has lost a legal challenge to have royal-level security provided for him and his family when they're in the UK. The decision has exposed warnings the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were given before they quit royal life.
Friends and professionals.
Prince Harry's new video.
It is such a privilege to honour the immense courage and compassion.
Speaking on behalf of a UK charity from California. His trips to Britain rare after his right to automatic taxpayer-funded protection was stripped 4 years ago.
Short notice that security was going to be removed.
When the Sussexes quit royal life, Harry's lawyers claimed that was unlawful and unfair, concerned about threats from Al-Qaeda after the Duke revealed his Taliban kill count in his book Spare, and mindful of tragic incidents of the past. The UK government argued decisions on the Sussexes' security would be bespoke and made on a case-by-case basis because he isn't a full-time working member of the royal family. The court agreed. Despite this latest legal setback, the Duke has vowed to keep fighting, his lawyers saying he hopes to obtain justice from England's Court of Appeal as doubts are cast over future visits to the UK by Harry and his family. The Duke spent barely 24 hours in England to see his cancer-stricken father, with little prospect of a return soon. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Actor and comedian Richard Lewis has died. Lewis rose to fame for his dark and self-deprecating stand-up routines. He became a late-night TV favourite during the 1980s and 90s. Stardom found him again with a regular supporting role on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
It's a self-portrait. That's you? What do you think a self-portrait means? Yeah, that's me. That's like you from 50 years ago. No, this is me now.
Last year, Lewis revealed he had Parkinson's disease. The 76-year-old died from a heart attack.
February the 29th, as we know, comes around only once every 4 years.
And today it became extra special for some. From special birthdays to leap year weddings, how the day unfolded for some across Perth.
Also an update from Royal Perth surgeons fighting to save the leg of a tourist bitten by a shark.
The US President's annual health check. Did he pass with so many questions over his age?
The lady vanishes, a crime mystery that's gripped Australia. Findings revealed.
And everyone seems to have advice for bad sleepers. Coming up, the world's first scientific research revealing key secrets to better rest.
Tonight's edition of The Nightly is out now. Australia's only digital newspaper to drop nightly. And it's free. Delivered to your pocket every weeknight. Spend your night wisely. Free at thenightly.com.au.
Perth surgeons have managed to save the leg of a Japanese tourist who was bitten by a shark near Jurien Bay. The attack happened in waist-deep water on Monday. The woman was flown to Royal Perth where she underwent surgery. She's being cared for in the trauma unit.
Liberal leader Libby Mettam has ruled out a frontbench return for party power broker Nick Goiran for now. And she claims last night's result in the Liberals' pre-selection race for South Perth is proof factional influence has waned. A slick ad campaign got Deputy Mayor and property lawyer Bronwyn Waugh across the line.
Managing sustainable development. I will start campaigning immediately. This is just illustrative of a grassroots process.
Hayley Cormann, who's the wife of former Federal Finance Minister Matthias Cormann, came last in the vote, only managing 14 out of 69 votes.
US President Joe Biden has passed his annual health check, hoping it will put an end to questions about his age. But his critics are quick to point out that it did not include a cognitive test.
In campaign mode and with a spring in his step, America's oldest ever president heading to hospital. Joe Biden's annual checkup finding the 81-year-old healthy, active and robust, adding he remains fit for duty, with doctors identifying no new concerns.
I think I look too young. No, there is something.
Like last year, though, today there was no cognitive test. It's not part of a standard presidential physical. But after a special counsel report described Biden as a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory, calls for one have been growing.
The president doesn't need a cognitive test. That is the assessment of the president's doctor. The president passes, again, a cognitive test every day.
Biden's age has thrust the issue firmly back in the spotlight. At 82, Mitch McConnell, the long-serving Republican Senate leader, today announcing he'll leave his post this year.
One of life's most underappreciated talents is to know when it's time to move on.
Under pressure from Trump-aligned factions within his own party and months after his own health battles, a concussion and this, a public freezing episode.
Okay, Mitch.
He'll still remain in the Senate until well after his 85th birthday. In the United States, David Woywood, 7 News.
A years-long inquest has finally reached its conclusion into what happened to Marion Barter. She's the woman featured in the worldwide hit podcast The Lady Vanishes. The teacher disappeared back in 1997 and her daughter has been searching for her ever since.
Sally Layden had the support of dozens of loved ones as a coroner today confirmed what she's known all along.
Coroner's just told me officially my mum's deceased. So that's the first time I've heard that in 27 years.
Her mother, Marion Barter, disappeared in 1997 after changing her name, selling her house and quitting her job. She'd been dating a man named Rick Bloom who lied about his identity. Today, Coroner Teresa O'Sullivan found the pair travelled to the UK, returning without telling Marion's family. She found Bloom preyed on vulnerable women and withheld crucial information about Marion from the inquest. She also found New South Wales Police bungled the missing persons investigation, recommending it now be referred to homicide detectives.
I haven't even had an apology, if I can put it out there. You know, I still haven't from the police had any apology for how I've been treated.
Today's findings mark the end of one fight and the beginning of another for Sally Layden. She's now determined to find out exactly how, when, where and why her mother died and plans to fly overseas in her search for answers.
It just doesn't stop just because we got an answer today from the coroner.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
February the 29th is a milestone that manifests once every 4 years and keeps our seasons in sync.
From newborns to weddings, it's been a special day for Perth as many mark the rare date with life-changing moments.
Diving into their destiny. It was fate when Christine and Mitch plunged off this same boat 2 years ago.
For the rest of your days. I do.
Today, in a leap of love, the couple tied the knot. On an extra special date that only comes around every 4 years.
Well, we've always joked that one of us is a weirdo at any given time, and we just thought that 29th, it's a bit odd, it's a bit weird, and it just made sense to us.
While they celebrate the start of their life together, this couple celebrates the newest addition to theirs.
It's my first baby, I'm so excited.
After a labour that lasted 72 hours, their baby girl held out for the leap day.
It's going to be a grand day for her after every 4 years.
Every birth is special, but being born today puts you in a very unique club. It's the rarest of birthdays. Only 1 in 1,500 have February 29 on their birth certificate. A 40-year-old is technically celebrating their 10th birthday today. If we didn't add a leap year, the seasons and months would become unsynchronised. That's because it takes the Earth 365 days and almost 6 hours to orbit the Sun. The leap year accounts for the difference. February chosen because it's our shortest month. Today, milestones were celebrated around the country. Jodie Stapleton taking a giant leap out of a plane to celebrate her 6th leap year birthday. For South Perth couple Bill and Ronnie, it's a date they can't forget and a present that only has to come around every 4 years. Celebrating 60 years of marriage, but only their 15th actual anniversary. Rebecca Petroska, 7 News.
Still to come tonight, image overhaul.
An Australian airline unveils a slick new look. But will the makeover mean anything to customers and prices?
The special device is helping unlock the secrets to a good night's sleep.
The man in charge of the company that owns Kmart and Bunnings weighs in on inflation. Will it keep rising and drive up interest rates?
And coming up in sport, key forwards ruled out for West Coast and Fremantle. We've got the pre-season squads, plus the Green Machine saves the Aussies and the Matildas sealed their spot in Paris.
Swindled out of $317,000. The single mum who fell for the biggest conman in Australian history. Now she's fighting back, sharing the warning signs so you don't get scammed. Plus, why these viral videos have been viewed 2.6 billion times. The beauty treatment causing a national frenzy. Start with Sunrise.
Now, Fuel Watch.
Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
Time to check finance now with Angela Cox. And Ange, our market hit an all-time high at one stage today.
That's right. Better than expected results from Harvey Norman helped the ASX closing 38 points higher. Shares in the furniture retailer jumped after Gerry Harvey told investors he's confident of an extended rebound. Gains for JB Hi-Fi too. Bitcoin surged on worries about the US fiscal position. Iron ore prices still sliding. And new data confirmed the retail bounce back after a dip in December. Sales figures rose 1.1% in January as Australians went shopping again. Consumers took advantage of discounting with clothing and footwear, housing goods and department stores up most.
Wesfarmers boss Rob Scott has warned new federal industrial relations rules could backfire. He told business leaders at the West Leadership Matters event in Perth that a same job, same pay approach undermines productivity.
We're moving to a lowest common denominator approach. It is so difficult to get any progress with EBAs. We're losing flexibility.
The man in charge of the company that owns Kmart and Bunnings also warned high inflation is likely to persist, but was hopeful Australia will avoid a hard landing recession.
Jetstar has embarked on an image makeover. The low-cost carrier has unveiled new uniforms. The budget airline's boss says it's listened to customers as its rival Virgin launched a sales blitz.
Out with the old, in with the new. At Jetstar, that means less orange, more blue. Australia's low-cost carrier going for high fashion change. New uniforms for the first time since it started flying 20 years ago.
Let's fly Jetstar!
Since then, Magda's moved on. Jetstar bosses claim the airline's reputation has too, but its most recent on-time performance has it behind Rex, Bonza and Qantas, ahead of Virgin.
There's always more work to do and we'll never rest on it. We'll always keep trying to improve it, but we do know December was really impacted by the cyclone in Cairns.
Work to do also on a gender pay gap twice as large as many others. Jetstar wants more female pilots and engineers.
I guess I could agree. I've noticed there's not many women, but I don't know why. It's a fabulous job.
The new kit was revealed at Melbourne's exclusive jet base, usually reserved for private planes and VIPs. Even more un-Jetstar-like, they put on food and drink.
We've got a dress. We haven't had a dress before. We've got knitwear. We haven't had knitwear before. It's, really been generated by what our people want to wear and feel proud wearing.
Virgin crew have overwhelmingly voted in favour of a new enterprise agreement, scoring an extra 6 days off each year, pay rises up to 18% over 3 years, and better overtime. And for customers, Virgin has a leap year sale. 200,000 airfares going for less than usual. Although sale flights are between very specific dates, the sale ends tonight. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
The number of Australians with eating disorders has climbed by more than 20% over the last decade. A new report from the Butterfly Foundation has labelled it a crisis.
Apart from anything else, they're costing our economy $67 billion a year, with 1.1 million people affected. But beyond that, it's collapsing families.
The federal and state governments are being called on to act.
We have results of a world-first sleep study. 1,400 adults and 1,200 children were monitored to reveal the secret to a perfect night's sleep. And you may be able to ignore advice on food and screen time. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News.
But first, Ryan has sport, and Ryan, West Coast and Freo have headed south.
They have Sue and Rick to the city of churches, but both will be missing a star forward. Details on the Eagles and Dockers pre-season squads next. Plus, Green Monster meet Green Machine as Cam goes bang in Wellington. And the Tillies seal their spot in Paris, but bigger dreams await. A pair of star forwards have been ruled out of pre-season action this weekend. A corked thigh has kept Jai Amos out of Fremantle's team for their final hit-out before round one. For West Coast, captain Oscar Allen stayed home. A minor knee injury has sidelined him from Saturday's game against the Crows.
Oscar Allen looked sore at training yesterday, and as expected, the Eagles ruled him out of flying to Adelaide. 17 days from their first game of the season, and the West Coast injury curse is still haunting the club. 7 of their best 22 players won't take the field against the Crows on Saturday, and they're now heavy favourites to take back-to-back wooden spoons. In more positive news, veterans Jeremy McGovern and Jack Darling were on the plane, but ex-Hawk Tyler Brockman is in a race to be fit for round 1. Fremantle are playing it safe with their star forward Jai Amos. The 20-year-old also didn't travel to South Australia ahead of the Dockers clash with Port Adelaide tomorrow night. Patrick Voss comes into the team alongside Josh Draper. Amos copped a corked thigh in the pre-season derby. Freo cult hero Clive Waterhouse a welcome sight at the Powers Alberton Oval. The 49-year-old played 106 games for the club and still sits 6th on Fremantle's all-time goal-kicking list with 178 majors. Adrian Barrage, 7 News.
North Melbourne have extended the contract of Rising Star winner Harry Sheasel to the end of 2030.
The first thing that comes to mind is hopefully Premiership player. That's the main goal for me, and I'm sure that's the goal for most of the boys here. That's something we're really desperate for. Obviously the club hasn't been going too well the last few years, and we're just so keen to turn that around.
And a couple of pre-season games this afternoon. It got weird in Sydney. First the lights went out and delayed the start, and then a snake infiltrated the ground. Not sure either of those things are good omens for those teams. The Lions up by 31 points at the last break.
Quickly on the boot from Archie as he slotted it through.
Not a bad first touch.
Very clever work.
In Canberra, it was the Toby Green show. He kicked 3 as the Giants shut out the Suns. They lead by 44 points late in the fourth quarter. WA's Cameron Green has produced a brilliant century to save the Aussies from a collapse in the first test against New Zealand. Batting at number 4 on a Wellington green top, the all-rounder guided the visitors to 9 for 279. Green unbeaten on 103 at stumps.
On a tough day for the Aussies, one man stood tall.
There it is, punched away, backward a point. That is 4, that is 100, his second in test matches. What a sensational knock this has been. Cam Green, take a bow.
Obviously, it was a pretty tough wicket out there. And I felt like the boys played pretty well. And just one of those days. And I think someone just needed to bat through. So, yeah, I was glad it was me.
Green took his place at 4 with Steve Smith opening the batting.
Edge and take it. New Zealand have their first.
He was caught behind for 31. Marnus Labuschagne in similar fashion for just 1. The Wellington pitch causing plenty of headaches. Travis Head lasted just 5 balls.
There it is. Outside edge. Well bowled.
The Aussies 4 for 89. Mitch Marsh went down swinging on 40.
High on the bat. High on the bat. And it's a big wicket.
Cam Green in the firing line of his own teammates.
Well, you said it was a hard-seeing ground. I don't think he had any time for this. Oh, that's a sight.
The all-rounder went from 50 to 100 in just 46 balls, a mix of craft and power.
Got the ball, got on the top of the bounce, and that's all the way to the rope too.
His century coming from the second last ball of the day, with the Aussies 9 for 279 at stumps. Tim Hipsley, 7 News.
And meanwhile in India, Alyssa Healy has become a hero with locals, taking down a pitch invader in the Women's Premier League match. It's a move Andrew Simons and Sam Kerr would surely be proud of. Just going to the Olympics isn't enough for the Matildas. They know Paris is the last chance for this golden generation to do something special. Last night's 10-0 rout of Uzbekistan secured qualification.
In the delirium of Olympic qualification, a moment to cherish. Kathy Freeman joining the Matildas on Marvel Stadium. The Aussie icon and her Tilly's mad daughter Ruby, part of the 54,000 plus on hand to see them punch their ticket to Paris.
It's so nice to be on home soil to celebrate with the rest of Australia, because the amount of support we've had in the last year has been absolutely incredible.
The return leg against Uzbekistan was embarrassingly lopsided.
Oh, surely, here it is, Heyman.
Recalled striker Michelle Heyman scored 4 goals in the 10-0 demolition.
When I looked at Tony after the third one, he was smiling, and I think I even said, "I've got 5 in me, like, hold on."
With 6 goals in the 2 games, the 35-year-old's comeback after a 6-year exile, an inspiring story of perseverance.
Never give up. A lot of people told me that I couldn't do it. You're too old. So it's really nice.
Paris looms as the last major tournament hurrah for the generation that's made the Matildas one of our best-loved teams.
Most of us have been together for, 10 plus years, and we've always fallen a bit short. So it could be our last major tournament. So I think, to go out with a bang would be pretty amazing for all of us.
In the FA Cup, Chelsea booked a quarter-final berth with a 3-2 win over Leeds, scoring in the 90th minute.
Gallagher. It's Gallagher who's won it for Chelsea, made the space for himself and planted Chelsea into a 3-2 lead.
Manchester United also left it late, scoring in the 89th minute to defeat Nottingham Forest 1-0. Liverpool rested a host of stars but still eased past Southampton. They won 3-0. Kathy Freeman and Mal Meninga are on the front bar tonight, guys. That's from 8:30. And this is an absolute must tomorrow in the West. The season guide, 48 pages, free. Every team's pass mark, a ladder predictor and everything you need to know ahead of the opening round. It's only in the West tomorrow. Now, I had to tip my flag winner for it, which is always a lot of pressure.
And a lot of people won't like it, but Collingwood looking pretty good.
Mate,
Lockie Schultz.
They're going to be very hard to beat.
That's very brave at this stage of the season. Good luck to both of you.
Brisbane too. Thanks, Ryan. Now to a report that might have you rethinking your bedtime routine.
Special devices fitted to almost 3,000 Australians have unlocked the secret to perfect sleep. And it all begins long before you hit the hay.
For Suzanne Courier, getting a good night's sleep can be a nightmare. She's tried just about everything.
A warm shower, reading, counting sheep. Doesn't work.
Suzanne's not alone. Experts say that's because the secret to a good night's sleep begins well before bedtime.
It seems that how we structure our day may influence how well we sleep at night.
Using special devices to monitor 1,400 adults and 1,200 children, Australian researchers have found exercise holds the key.
We think that physical activity has physiological changes, releases hormone serotonin, which has mood-boosting effects.
The higher intensity, the better. Just 20 minutes is enough at any time of day.
People who are more active seem to experience less tiredness.
Something young mum Nancy Mustragiacomo can relate to.
If I've had a busy day and my daily schedule was jam-packed with things, I find that I'm more exhausted and I want to go to sleep earlier and therefore I do sleep better.
And the same works in reverse. In fact, going to bed early can be a curse by leading to poor sleep quality.
To do 20 minutes of vigorous exercise to get the benefit of being able to go to sleep quickly, I would definitely try it.
Ashley Kanowski, 7 News.
Sam Jolly's back in this last extended day of summer.
That's right, Rick. It has been an eventful season too, possibly our hottest summer on record. I'll tell you how autumn is looking next.
Tonight, name and shame the traitor Polly, the defence expert demanding to know who betrayed the country. Labor's big litmus test, Dunkley votes this weekend. Our weekly panel weighs in. And a golden ticket to a nightmare, an immersive Willy Wonka experience leaves kids in tears. The latest from 7 News after the front bar.
Welcome back and farewell to summer. We are waiting for official figures, but this was possibly our hottest summer on record. And today we were lucky enough to get a bonus day because it is a leap year. It was mostly blue skies, 33.5 degrees in the city after a cool overnight low of less than 16. Right now it is 26 degrees. The winds are southerly. We had quite a difference in temperatures across the suburbs today. A very hot end to summer in Bullsbrook and the airport. 37 degrees there today. In the northeast, it's been consistently our hottest area this summer. Mandurah got to 31, which is about average, and just 25 on Rottnest. The start of autumn is set to be hot. That's because we have a deepening trough down the coast and a high in the south. And we could also get a stormy weekend. Interstate, partly cloudy and 26 in Melbourne tomorrow. We have 31 in Brisbane, mostly sunny and 29 for Adelaide. And statewide tomorrow, a severe heatwave warning for the south interior districts and a strong wind warning for the Geraldton, Lancelin, Bunbury Telegraph and Lewin Coast. So we're getting down to 19 tonight, then a sunny top of 34 degrees to ring in autumn tomorrow. We're also looking at 34 on Saturday, but there's a medium chance of showers and a thunderstorm, about a millimetre of rain. But Sunday is looking wet and stormy, up to 20 millimetres of rain, mostly in the morning, strong winds, but still hot, 34 degrees. It clears to 28 degrees for our public holiday Monday and 30 on Tuesday. And we have an extra special anniversary tonight. This is Bill and Ronnie Willis from South Perth. They have technically been married 60 years, but because they were married on a leap year, they've only been able to celebrate 15 times, so an even bigger reason to celebrate their milestone tonight. Congratulations. Now for tonight's winning Powerball numbers, they are 31, 3, 24, 13, 5, 25, 33 and the Powerball is 17. Those numbers again are 31, 3, 24, 13, 5, 25, 33 and the Powerball is 17. Now here's Mark Lacroix with your boating and fishing details.
Thanks, Sam. Start waxing the board up tonight because it's looking like there'll be a few nice waves around tomorrow. Let's check out what's happening on the water. Expect southeasterly winds 15 to 25 knots, seas 1.5 to 2.5 metres and a southwesterly swell 1.5 to 2 metres dropping throughout the morning. The low tide at Two Rocks is at 4:37am, the highs at 12:19pm, similar times in Freo. If you're taking the board out, tomorrow's looking like a fun one. Melrose, Trigg and Alkimos are just a few spots that'll have good waves. With decent swell and offshore winds most of the day, you can take your pick on most of the breaks in the metro area. If you're keen on a fish, Windmills has fished well for King George whiting. Samson fish and yellowtail kingfish have been caught offshore around Ocean Reef. And from shore, the North Moles produce Taylor at dawn and dusk and the odd mulloway throughout the night. And how good are these viewer picks? Young Tex reeled in this beauty of a squid off Geograph Bay. Blake had plenty of luck in Broome, scoring this nice coral trout. And have a look at this monster mulloway Lockie bagged off the banks of the Swan River. Keep sending your pictures to fishing@7.com.au for your chance to be featured. Well, hopefully in the morning, the waves are pumping and the fish are biting. I'll catch you again tomorrow night.
Thanks, Mark. That's 7 News for a special Leap Year Thursday. We'll have updates throughout the evening.
7news.com.au will also keep you informed. Enjoy the rest of your night here on 7.